Renting does not mean the tenant has no responsibility. The landlord owns the property, but the tenant controls how the home is used day after day. Tenant responsibilities are the duties that come with living in someone else's property, paying rent, following the lease, and returning the home in a reasonable condition. The first responsibility is paying rent on time. Rent is not only a monthly transfer. It is the main promise in the lease. A late payment can trigger fees, notices, stress with the landlord, and eventually legal action if the problem continues. Even one missed date can affect trust. Tenants are also responsible for reading the lease before treating the home as fully flexible. The lease may cover pets, guests, smoking, parking, noise, subletting, repairs, and move-out notice. A renter who assumes every apartment works the same can accidentally break a rule they already agreed to. Basic cleanliness usually belongs to the tenant. That means taking out trash, preventing pest-attracting mess, cleaning spills, keeping appliances reasonably clean, and avoiding conditions that damage the property. A landlord may repair the building, but they are not responsible for a tenant's everyday neglect. Tenants must avoid causing damage beyond normal wear and tear. A small carpet path from walking is different from a large burn mark. Faded paint is different from holes punched in a wall. Normal living creates age. Careless behavior creates damage, and damage may be charged against the deposit. Reporting maintenance problems quickly is another major duty. A small leak under a sink can become cabinet damage, mold, or flooring problems if ignored. The tenant may not be responsible for the original pipe issue, but they can become partly responsible if they knew about it and stayed silent. A practical example is an air conditioner making a strange noise. The tenant does not need to repair it themselves, but they should inform the landlord or property manager. If the system fails later, the early report shows that the renter acted responsibly and did not hide the problem. Tenants are responsible for safe use of the property. Overloading electrical outlets, blocking ventilation, removing smoke detector batteries, or using appliances incorrectly can create risk. These are not small habits. They can affect fire safety, insurance claims, and the landlord's willingness to renew the lease. Noise and neighbor behavior also matter. A tenant may feel the apartment is private, but shared buildings depend on reasonable conduct. Loud parties, repeated late-night disturbances, aggressive guests, or misuse of common areas can violate the lease even if the rent is paid on time. Guests are another area where responsibility can be misunderstood. A visitor who damages the property, causes noise, or stays too long may still create consequences for the tenant. The landlord may not care who broke the rule. The leaseholder is usually the person responsible for what happens in the unit. Tenants should also respect occupancy limits. Letting extra people live in the home without permission can create legal, safety, parking, and wear and tear problems. A landlord may have approved one family or two roommates, not an unlimited number of long-term residents. Minor upkeep may fall on the tenant depending on the lease. This can include replacing light bulbs, changing air filters, keeping drains clear from hair or food buildup, or maintaining a small garden. The exact duties vary, so the lease matters more than assumptions. Pets create special responsibilities. If pets are allowed, the tenant may need to control noise, clean waste, prevent scratches, pay pet fees, or follow breed and size rules. Saying the pet is friendly does not remove responsibility for odor, damage, allergies in shared spaces, or neighbor complaints. Tenants are usually responsible for their own belongings. If a pipe bursts or theft happens, the landlord's building insurance may not cover the renter's laptop, clothes, furniture, or personal items. That is why renter's insurance exists. The building and the tenant's possessions are not the same risk. Move-out responsibilities start before the final day. The tenant may need to give proper notice, clean the unit, remove belongings, return keys, cancel utilities, and allow inspection. A rushed move can lead to abandoned items, cleaning charges, or disputes over the security deposit. Documentation protects both sides. A tenant should take photos at move-in and move-out, save maintenance requests, keep rent receipts, and communicate important issues in writing. Memory becomes weak during a dispute. A dated photo or message can show what actually happened. A common mistake is thinking responsibility only begins when something goes wrong. In reality, responsible renting is mostly ordinary behavior. Paying on time, communicating early, keeping the home clean, respecting neighbors, and not waiting until a small issue becomes expensive. Another mistake is repairing things without permission. A tenant may want to be helpful, but unauthorized repairs can create bigger problems if the work is poor or violates rules. The safer habit is to report the issue, get approval when needed, and keep a written record. The landlord provides the property and handles major obligations. The tenant protects the day-to-day condition of the home. A good rental relationship works when both sides understand that split. The renter does not own the property, but they are trusted with its daily care. The simplest tenant rule is this: live in the home as if your actions will be checked later, because sometimes they will be. Pay on time, report problems early, follow the lease, document the condition, and leave the property in a state that shows ordinary use, not avoidable damage. Utilities are another area to check carefully. Some rentals include water, cooling, gas, internet, or building fees. Others make the tenant set up accounts directly. A renter who forgets this can move in and discover that an essential service is not active or that unpaid bills create problems later. Tenants should also understand access rules. The landlord may need to enter for repairs, inspections, or emergencies, but usually cannot enter whenever they feel like it. The tenant's responsibility is to allow proper access under the lease and local rules, while still expecting reasonable notice when required. If a tenant wants to change the home, permission matters. Painting walls, mounting shelves, changing locks, installing fixtures, or adding satellite equipment can create disputes if done without approval. Even improvements can become problems when they damage surfaces or violate building rules. Good tenants also separate urgent issues from preferences. A broken lock, active leak, or unsafe wiring needs quick attention. A request for a different paint color is different. Knowing that difference helps the renter communicate seriously when the property truly needs action. The best renter is not someone who never has a problem. Problems happen in every home. The best renter communicates early, keeps records, respects the agreement, and treats the property as a place they are responsible for, even though they do not own it. This also protects the tenant. A renter who communicates clearly, keeps photos, and follows the process is less likely to be blamed unfairly for old damage, hidden problems, or confusion at move-out. Responsibility is not only about avoiding charges, it is about making the rental history easy to prove.